Welcome back, Officers Republic. It's your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief, APGAINS here. We're going to do the ultimate free-to-play farming guide. You might be saying, APGAINS. Well, you're probably not saying it to yourself, but thinking it to yourself. You say it to yourself, you're in public, people are going to think you're weird. You say it to yourself, you're in the privacy of your own home. Who am I to judge? But you're probably thinking to yourself, APGAINS, you already have the best free-to-play farming guide. Why are you now doing the ultimate free-to-play farming guide? Is it somehow different? Did I do something wrong by following the greatest free-to-play farming guide? Oh my god, do I need to backtrack? No. The ultimate free-to-play farming guide is the best free-to-play farming guide, plus another year and a half of content. So if you've already been following the free-to-play farming guide, here's some bonus stuff for you to do after you finish. But most importantly, we're going to add three things. I don't know if I did the math right there. We're going to add three things you guys have been asking for. We're going to add ships. We're going to add a tier list. Not in the traditional sense, but just kind of a general gauge so you guys can see which characters are more important. Let's say you're farming these two characters. This character is, higher on the tier list. This character is lower, so you want to prioritize. Maybe this character gets more gear. Maybe this character gets a relic first. Maybe this character gets a Zeta because it's more important than this character. Kind of help you out in the future. A little tool. So you can kind of come back, take a couple screenshots, be like, oh, this character, you know what I mean? You get it. Priorities. Life has them. APGAINS does not. Well, the farming guide does, but I don't because I suck at life. And the third, and probably most important thing to all of you guys is, or I'm going to tell you what gear to take every team at which point in the game and all that sort of good stuff, because that's something you guys ask all the time. Now, since apparently if I've established that I love the number 3, we have 3 more things, and these 3 things are things that I can promise you. The 3 things I can promise you are, 1, now strictly, only mathematically speaking, you're going to win more Grand Arenas. I've checked all of the other ones out there. This is the farming guide that will win you the most Grand Arenas. That is just a fact. No one can argue with that. The second thing I can promise you is you'll have more fun. You're going to have way more teams. You're going to be able to participate in all the game modes, all the raids, all the events, all the territory wars, all the territory battles, even in GACs where your opponent is millions of more GP than you and you stand no chance. You'll at least have more teams. You can do some more theory crafting, have some more fun. So even when Capital Games takes their big, ugly finger and puts it in your tiny little bumhole, you'll still be able to have fun. More wins, more fun, and third, and most importantly, is your PP will grow if you subscribe. Now, that last thing, I can't guarantee, if you're a woman, that your PP will grow. I never finished med school, and therefore, I am not qualified to talk about that. But if you want to take that risk, you can subscribe to help boost APGAINS ego. Speaking of ego, this video is sponsored. Whoa! Not by a company that gives APGAINS money, but rather by you. You guys sponsored this channel, put the roof over my head. Just kidding, my mommy pays for that. Thank you for letting me live in your basement, Mom. But the ramen that is in my bowl is paid for by you guys by watching the video from start to finish, increasing retention, because the algorithm there was like and subscribe and comment for the algorithm. That doesn't actually do anything. It's been 3 years since liking and commenting really meant anything. The algorithm is literally just, did you watch the whole video? And then did you click on another video from the same person and watch that? YouTube only cares about retention. They use this metric called satisfaction. If you guys are satisfied with APGAINS, you're going to watch from start to finish. That's how you feed APGAINS and do it. Are you ready to start? I'm going to do this, or at least attempt to do this video in one take. It's probably going to take 45 minutes. So I may or may not, depending on how lazy I am, put timestamps or chapters, whatever they're called, in the video so you can skip around, whatever. But promise me something. Pinky promise? Oh, got him with the heart. Pinky promise that if I can do this in one take, and you'll be able to tell because I suck at editing, so if I edit this, it'll be like, I'm over here, and then the next second, I'm like, whoa, I'm over here. If I do this in one take, you subscribe. All right, let's get started. Slide 1. Let's establish one thing first and foremost. We have 4 categories of characters. We have the number 1 priority characters, the primary characters, the secondary characters. Oh, I'm running out of breath. Excuse me. And the passive characters. The number 1 priority characters are obviously the number 1 priority. They're the characters that you're going to want to gear up first, relic first, apply Zetas to first. They're generally the best character on a team, but even if they're not the best character on the team, they are the most important characters for you to get up and running as fast as possible. Next, we have the primary characters. These are the characters that are going to really kind of be the backbone of your main teams, but also, in most cases, are characters that you got to get out of the way early to help you unlock characters that are in the number 1 priority slot. The secondary slot is characters that are also super useful, but can kind of be put on the back burner after you focused on the primary characters. The passive characters are characters that we can work on at our leisure, right? These are characters that have no real time limit on them. So if we skip them for a year or we do them right away, it doesn't really matter. We kind of need to have them eventually after the 3 years is over. But most of these characters, like the name suggests, you'll just kind of accumulate passively. Hopefully that made sense. Haven't edited the video yet. You're impressed. I know, we still have another million years of footage to go through. Okay, so first and foremost, slide number 1. Darth Vader. Now, Darth Vader is not the first character you're going to unlock. I saw a comment recently. They're like, APGAINS, you're an idiot. You're saying that Darth Vader is the most important early game character, most important free-to-play character in the entire game. You can't even get him early game. Well, you get Darth Vader through doing achievements. He should be your first Zeta, Merciless Massacre. He should be your first Relic. He is the backbone of free-to-play. He always has been since his rework, and he always will be. We'll talk about why when we talk about strategy. But first Zeta, first Relic Darth Vader. I have him at the beginning just to kind of Enfi's Nest emphasize. I can't say emphasize anymore. I can only say Enfi's Nest. It's kind of like saying no cap Greedo. I just have to say Enfi's Nest before I say emphasize. I have to Enfi's Nest that he is the backbone of any free-to-play account, no matter the farming guide. If you choose to do something else, he will still be the backbone. Please, first Zeta, first Relic. Now, the next number 1 priority character is Jedi Knight Anakin. Now, the reason Jedi Knight Anakin is in the number 1 priority, he should probably be a top 8, top 10 Zeta. His Zeta is very good. He should probably be a top 5 Relic, depending on, some people, I put out the farming guide. Some people, they do this, right? It's kind of like an interpretive dance, right? Some people just naturally follow it word for word and have immense success. Some people kind of deviate to their own kind of whims and do whatever they want. He should probably be a top 5 Relic. We'll talk about what the other top 5 Relics are in just a little bit, but he is a very good Relic. He can kind of be in multiple different Jedi squads. By the time we hit level 85, or by the time our first month of GAC, we're starting to pick up in GAC. We'll probably have 2 Jedi teams that we can use. He can go in any one of those. He obviously fits right into a Padme, which is a team we're going to have basically the second we hit level 85. So basically the second we can do Grand Arena, we're going to have Padme, so we're going to be able to utilize him. So he's a character that we're going to want to gear up. Relic and Zeta, he is super useful. Very flexible character, but most importantly, well, not most importantly, but on top of all of the other important things that are awesome about him, is he's going to be our main damage dealer in the fleet arena. And as we'll talk about in a little bit, fleets are incredibly important for free-to-play players. And he is going to be one of our biggest damage dealers and also one of our most useful utility ships. All right. Old Ben and Farm Boy Luke. Now, this should be pretty obvious to any experienced player, but these are the first 2 of the first characters that you can actually start farming. They're pretty easy farms. I think they're both in Cantina. I think Farm Boy Luke might also have a hard node. I haven't farmed these characters in years, so wherever you do farm, I know they're in Cantina, but you can farm them early. You can farm them often. Get them to 7 stars as fast as possible. They are required to unlock CLS, and as we'll talk about in a little bit, CLS is our first super squad. Super squads are very important to free-to-play players, and CLS, is going to be our first one. Next, in the secondary, we have Ahsoka Tano, Newt Gunray, and Moff Gideon. Now, Moff Gideon can be farmed very early, and he's in the secondary squad, so a lot of people like to rush him early because, he looks pretty cool, he does some cool stuff. We kind of just need to have him at the point where we're going to 7-star R2-D2, and that brings me to a very important point that no one talks about for some reason. Everyone's got an opinion on what you should do, what you should farm, right? The reason, well, one of the many reasons that the APGAINS approved farming guide is just better than all of them. Yes, I'm just absolutely stroking my own ego right here. I know. How disgusting. How dare you APGAINS think you're cool. Not even your mom thinks you're cool. My mom doesn't think I'm cool, and I have learned to live with that. One of the great things about the APGAINS approved farming guide is we love GAC, and we love winning GAC. That being said, teams do not, now wait, teams do not need to be finished until we actually have to play a GAC. A lot of people will rush a team, max out a team at level 70 or something crazy like that. They'll only focus on this, or they'll be so worried that they don't have this one piece of the puzzle to get this team up and running, or this one piece of the puzzle to unlock this character. It doesn't matter. The APGAINS approved farming guide, and you'll see this as we go on, literally at level 85, perfectly comes together, so you have all of the teams that you need to be incredibly successful on offense, but also put up a very good fight on defense and win the most possible Grand Arenas. And Moff Gideon is an example of that. as are some of the other characters, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We don't need to have him 7 stars early. We don't even need to, have him geared up, right? He's a useful character on my free-to-play account, the early game free-to-play account. He's geared 4, and I just put speed mods on him, and I only upgraded his 3rd ability. He's still useful, right? We want to get him 7 stars. He's going to be one of our 5 Empire units we're going to use to unlock R2-D2, who we're going to go with Old Ben, who we're going to go with Farm Boy Luke, and go with a couple of characters we'll talk about in a little bit to help us unlock CLS. Now, the passive farms are Boba and Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn, we need sometime in the mid-game. We'll talk about Omicrons a lot later. And Boba Fett is a solid character to have on our Bounty Hunter team, which we'll have up and running by the time we do GAC. But he is a Cantina currency farm or something like that, so we get him very passively. Now, my single favorite character in the entire game. And not that because he's the best character, because he's not the best character. Galactic Legends are better. Cup is better. Cup is better than everyone. But Jango Fett. Now, Jango Fett is in the early stages of any farming guide, one of, if not the most important characters in the entire game. The reason this is because Jango does 2 amazing things that make your free-to-play account very, very good. He solos the 7-star Padme event at Gear 11 with like a Gear 8, Gear 9 Newt Gunray, which is why Newt Gunray is there in the secondary slot. He's also a farm you get in like the shard shop, not the shard shop. You get him in the squad arena shop or something like that. But Jango helps us solo the Padme event, so we don't have to worry about 7-starring and over-investing in our Geonosians, right? We don't gotta waste resources on Geos. He solos the Padme event, and he is an integral part of the Chewbacca unlock process, getting you 2 of the most important early game characters that exist at all, basically by himself. Not by himself in the Chewbacca event, but he's incredibly helpful, and he basically does the Padme event by himself. He is a very important character. I would not be mad if you guys got him to Gear 12 as fast as possible. I wouldn't complain. Gear 12 Jango Fett guarantees you 7-star Padme, and basically guarantees you a 7-star Chewbacca. He is a #1 priority. Next, we have Bastila Shan Jolee Bindo. Now, these are both primary farms because of their usefulness for unlocking Jedi Knight Revan, but don't get it twisted. Bastila Shan is way more important than Jolee Bindo. You might be saying Jolee Bindo does all this reviving nonsense, but you're not thinking clearly. Let me illuminate some things for you because you're just not thinking clearly. I have not had caffeine in years. I have never had coffee in my life. I don't drink energy drinks, but I'm drinking an energy drink. I'm about to have a heart attack, but before I have a heart attack, I'm going to explain to you why Bastila Shan is the greatest thing to ever grace the holotables. At 2 stars Gear 4, she is as useful as she is at Gear 12, right? Her leadership, as most of you know, but some of you who are new players might not know, her leadership ability gives 200% protection up to all Jedi. Now, you can get her incredibly early, and with her at 2 stars Gear 6 and a couple of ragtag Jedi, you can do your Galactic War every day, right? A lot of people struggle level 0 to 45 with Galactic War. No problem. In GAC, she can, with like the help of 1 or 2 other Jedi, get you undersized max banners. Now, there's two things I just said there that most of you guys understood, but some of you guys are new players and you might not understand. You win GACs by having more banners. You get more banners by being more efficient. That means having more health and more protection when the battle is over. We plan our GAC attack strategy around every team is an undersized team and a max banner team, which mathematically maximizes, I just said maximize like 7 times in the last 2 sentences, our banners, making it as difficult as possible for our opponent to beat us, right? As difficult as possible. It's literally impossible to get more difficult to beat than that, which is why this is, of course, the best free-to-play farming guide. That being said, Bastila Shan, basically, if you use against the right team, you'll never break that protection up, which means you can undersize and have max banners. Helps you with GAC. Kind of the same reason we love Darth Vader, and we'll talk about Bosk in a little bit, why we love him, and CLS, same thing. You'll notice a pattern. APGAINS loves characters who win with undersized max banners, giving more wins, giving more PP. It's the best. It all makes sense. Like, even if you've never played this game, the wheels are turning. The wheels are turning. It's starting to make sense. Bastila Shan's important. Jolee Bindo is, of course, also important for Jedi Knight Revan, and he has a very, very good Zeta. Top 10 Zeta, I would say. Please, side note, do not Zeta Basilishan's lead ever. Don't ever do that. In the secondary farms, we have Dark Trooper, Piet, and Veers. These are kind of like Moff Gideon. They're in the secondary farm because we're eventually going to need them to be some Imperials for the R2-D2 unlock. They're very early farms. Their nodes open up very early. And I believe all 4 of these boys are accelerated, so you can get them pretty quick. Not too much to talk about there. They make a very good undersized Imperial Trooper team, as you'll see, which is something that we don't need to invest a lot in, but can definitely punch up, giving us just another tool in our arsenal. You'll start to notice that we have way too many teams, which is intentional, and I'll explain that in just a little bit. Because I know things about capital games that no one else knows, which is why my farming guide is better. If you're watching at 1540, say shh, hush hush in the chat, because I'm about to expose capital game secrets that they don't want out. And then in the passive, you might be saying, APGAINS! First order characters? SLKR Rush is notoriously one of the worst things you could possibly do, but also, you don't like the first order. They're in passive. Because around the mid-game, and the mid-game can be anywhere from 2 to 6 million, around the mid-game, we're going to want a low-level, low-gear finalizer team, because we love ships. You can passively get them in the... I'm going to be honest with you guys. You guys ready for some fourth wall breaking? I should be looking at you. But really, so like, I'm looking... Oh, Inception. Whoa. I'm looking at myself because I'm egotistical. I should be looking up here at the camera. So if you see my eyes wandering, it's because I'm admiring myself and then remembering that that's weird and looking back at you guys. But don't let that distract you from the first order. You can get these guys literally whenever. Anywhere from 2 to 6 million GP, I don't care. You can get them whenever you want. That's why they're in the passive. Next. The next number 1 priority, and man, is it a good number 1 priority, is Bossk. Bossk's leadership Zeta is also a top 5 Zeta. Kind of like a lot of other top 5 Zetas. Sorry, I'm having caffeine burps. Bossk does the same thing that Darth Vader does, the same thing that Basilishan does, the same thing that we'll talk about CLS in just a little bit. He does undersized max banners because his Zeta allows you to recover health protection with debuffs, so you can use undersized bounty hunters and recover protection and health to get undersized max banners, as we've explained, mathematically increasing your probability of winning. The next 2 characters are just required for CLS unlock, and then we have Yoda. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Jedi, and 5 Jedi gets us Grandmaster Yoda. You can get him at 5 stars, 6 stars, 7 stars, depends on the characters that you have. But he is a nice damage dealer, very offensive, very juicy. We have Spy and Soldier. These characters are relatively early farms. They're going to be in the secondary because they're not super high priority, but we are going to need their ships, so having them unlocked is going to be important. Zam and Poggle are in passive. Zam we're going to need by the end game, and Poggle we just kind of eventually get. All right. I need to pick up the pace because it's been 20 minutes, and that's slide 1, and I have 6 more slides. This is long, but that's what she said. Slide 2. You'll notice that there's an extra Darth Vader. Thank you for everyone who showed up during the terrible graphic making stream. I did this on a very small monitor, and now that I'm looking at it a little bit bigger, I can obviously tell that the boxes are not lined up. But Darth Vader just kind of duplicated himself on every slide, and I guess I missed one. Number 1 priority, CLS. CLS, of course, is our first super team. I'll explain what that means in just a second. The primary characters are Padme and Basilishan Fallen. These characters are very good. Of course, we talked about Django gets you Padme. Oh, I'm gonna talk so god dang fast. Let me take another sip of Celsius. Ready? I'm gonna start talking so fast. All right, speed run. Padme, Django gets you Padme. Great with Anakin. Just an amazing defensive team. Basilishan Fallen, amazing for control. Amazing for control. Throw in with EP. Emperor Palpatine, who we basically unlock for free by having 5 7-star rebels, and he is our 5th Imperial, which helps us get R2-D2. Mando and Grief are incredibly, incredibly useful bounty hunters. They're useful at 2 stars, useful at 3 stars, useful at 7 stars. Zeta Mando, not a top 10 Zeta, but maybe a top 25 Zeta. Passive, Han Solo and R2-D2, of course, we have 5 7-star Imperials. We get a 7-star R2-D2. He is the final piece for CLS, hence why CLS is a number 1 priority. CLS should probably be your 2nd or 3rd, probably your 2nd relic. I would say Vader 1st relic, CLS 2nd relic. Maybe Jedi Knight Anakin 3rd relic. Maybe Bossk 4th, depending on if you have a Revan by then. Han Solo, you get passively through raids. Next primer, we have no number 1 priorities in the next row. But Chewbacca. Chewbacca, you will get with Bosk, with Boba, with Dengar, and with Jango. I have a video on how to do that event if you are struggling. It's all about turn order. Geonosian Brood Alpha. He's in secondary, not primary. Oh my god, Geonosian Brood Alpha. What raid Geos? Oh my god, Geos suck. Get that through your thick skull, you monkey. Just get him. You can Zeta him. I would probably say top 10 Zeta. Not in terms of usefulness, but in terms of priority. Let me end the Geonosian debate right now. Geonosians are like syphilis. Syphilis is not hard to deal with. You go to your doctor, you get an antibiotic, it's gone, you're fine. But if you don't have access to the thing that easily beats the syphilis, it sucks. So the reason that we get a 4 or 5 star Geonosian Brood Alpha and put the Zeta on it, minimal gear, minimal investment in the Geonosians, is for the cases where we're playing the people who, how do I say, are graciously not the best at the game. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not smart or that they're not good. Maybe they're just too casual to kind of understand how the Geonosians work. Geonosians, you can quote me in the comment section, are the syphilis of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Incredibly easy to deal with, but if people don't know how to deal with them for some reason, they can be annoying, which is why we want to have them, but why we never really invest in them, because you can beat a 4-star Geonosian team just as easily as you can beat a Relic 5 Geonosian team. They're not characters that get better with relics. Arguments maybe for Spy. Spy is an interesting case. We can have that debate, but definitely not like a high priority. All right, let's keep going. And then 3PO and Chewie, because we'll have a CLS team. We'll have CLS, we'll have Han Solo, we'll have Chewbacca. Like we said, we don't have C-3PO yet, so we're not going to have a full squad, but we do love a good undersize, and 3PO and Chewie is amazing at 2 stars, 3 stars, Gear 7, Gear 12. It doesn't matter. HK-47 is a secondary farm. He is bought through the shipments and helps us get Darth Revan. And then we have Sunfac and GK. Sunfac kind of rounds out the Geonosian squad, and GK, of course, is a raid character, so depending on what guild we're in is, how fast we can get him. Next, we have the double Revans. I went Darth Revan first on the free-to-play account, my girlfriend's account, and I was super happy that I went Darth Revan first because here are the pros and cons. This will be Darth Revan, this will be Jedi Knight Revan. Jedi Knight Revan, a lot faster, very useful, okay defensive viability, pretty good on offense. Darth Revan's a little bit harder to get, but he is infinitely, it's not even comparable how much better Darth Revan is to Jedi Knight Revan. So the extra week or two that it takes you to get him over Jedi Knight Revan is worth it just on pure pissing people off, right? Which one you get first is up to you. I went Darth Revan first. On my main account, I went Jedi Knight Revan first. Both of them I liked. I'll let you make that decision for yourself. Oh, wrong slide. And then we have Karth, Cassian. No, not Cassian. I'm going to sneeze. That was a bitch sneeze. Holy crap. Karth and whatever his face is. The guy that sucks in the Galactic Challenge because he shoots a million times. And then Scion. Scion we kind of want to pick up just a little bit. Maybe get him a couple of stars just because he is a very good Sith character. He goes really well with Traya. He is an impromptu tank. He's got a buff dispel. He can revive himself. He's pretty awesome. Traya and Aura Singer are passive. Traya, please, the second you get Traya. APGAINS always used to say. Now, returning viewers will know exactly what I'm saying, but returning viewers probably aren't really watching this video because they've already been hammered just bung, 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 bung over the head with APGAINS. They're smart players, right? The people watching at 23 minutes into this video are likely newer players. Please, the most important Zeta in the game is the Zeta that you have when you unlock Darth Traya. You unlock her, you Gear 8 her, you Zeta her, give her a crit avoidance arrow, and that's fine. Aura Sing. Aura Sing is another character kind of like Zam Wessel from Slide 1. We're going to need her for the mid-game, but if you don't get her until you have 4 million GP, it doesn't really matter. Though, if you do have the Zam Omicron, get her unlocked because she's fucking awesome. And then we have Malak. Malak you get pretty easily from having Jedi Knight Revan, Darth Revan. I also have guides on how to do that on my homepage. Go look at those. Nihilist, Giahani, Zalbar, those are requirements for Darth Revan, and Nihilist goes with Traya, and then another passive is Kylo Ren Unmasked, kind of like First Order TIE Pilot and First Order Special Forces TIE Pilot over here. We eventually need to get him by 5 or 6 million GP for a nice, juicy little fleet. Next, oh, did I finish that off? Oh, and then we have Mission, Sith Empire Trooper, T3, those guys are requirements. Sith Empire Trooper is great to have on the Darth Revan team. And then we have 2 more passives in the other Kylo for the fleet, and then just a final Imperial Trooper. All right. Now we finish the core 8. APGAINS, what are the core 8 teams? The core 8 teams. Ready to do another, what do you call it? Improvisational dance? The hula of the core 8. The core 8 teams are the 8 most important free-to-play teams in the entire game, and the first 8 teams that you should have. They lead to the most wins. They're the hardest to counter. They're the best on offense to get the best banners. They're just the best teams in the game. I've spent the last 3 years figuring out which teams are the best. You can get them easily. They work perfectly together. It's just amazing. It's literally like the free-to-play farming guide I'm very proud of because I've spent years, thousands of hours, and tons of work building. But the thing I'm most proud of is the core 8, the concept of the core 8, because you can basically just speak the first year and a half of the free-to-play farming guide into someone by using the core 8. The core 8 teams are CLS, Empire team, but the Empire team is basically just Darth Vader with whoever you want to use them. So is that a Vader solo, an Empire Palpatine lead, whatever, it doesn't matter, an Empire team. Padme, Jedi Knight Revan, Darth Revan, Bounty Hunters, General Grievous Separatist droids, and Gas. Those are the core 8 teams. Once you have the core 8, we can farm our first Galactic Legend. So this is kind of wrapping up the core 8. We have the Ewoks for C-3PO. We have Hux in there kind of as a last passive because he is going to be the captain of the fleet, what we'll get whenever we get around to it. We have the rest of the gas requirements and General Grievous just to kind of iron out that team. This graphic is terrible. Look how uneven those lines are. And then the First Order Officer, who is the last pilot for that fleet. We have the rest of the unlocks. We have Gas, and then Wat Tambor, who we just kind of get passively. So we've done our core 8. We have the best possible free-to-play account. We're probably at a year to a year and a half played. We're better than all of our peers. We're absolutely stroking our own peepees because we're so happy with how awesome we are. What's next? I'll tell you what's next. Our first Galactic Legend. Now, if you've done this and you've devoted this time, you've probably also found yourself in a good guild, which means you will be able to probably, by the time you start this farm, have a 5-star Wat Tambor. Now, I recognize that some people have already started playing and they're kind of catching up. So you're not going to have this exact account. Unfortunate, but if you have gotten your core 8 and your ships suck, you don't have the negotiator. We haven't talked about ships yet. We'll talk about ships at the end. So kind of, we're just, ooh, I'm doing this live, so who cares? If you have the core 8 and your ships are terrible and you're in a bad guild and you don't want to leave because you have friends and you don't have Wat Tambor, first GL, probably SLKR. Not because SLKR is a good farm, but because you'll have relics, those First Order characters we talked about previously, kind of basically just accelerating the First Order fleet unlock. And you'll have one good fleet team. If you already have a negotiator and a little bit of a rebel and a little bit of an Empire fleet, don't do this. Do JML instead if you can't get Wat Tambor. But if you follow this guide from start to finish, you're in a good enough guild, you're going to have Wat Tambor at least 5 stars. You want to start farming for Kenobi. He is by far the best character in the game. The rest of these rows, primary, secondary, passive, those are just the rest of the requirements for him. Then we have Bam, Dengar. Dengar you should already have, but we're going to need to relic him up. TIE Fighter Pilot, and all of these boys. Cara Dune's in there a little bit. She's a leftover BAM requirement. So those are BAM requirements. And BAM and the rest of the Executor requirements. Because we're going to have Executor. Let's fucking go. Can I get a let's fucking go? Let's fucking go. If you're watching at 28 minutes and 53 seconds, can I get a let's fucking go? Because we have a Galactic Legend and Executor. Now, this will take you a long time. Which, coincidentally, is why we established a really good foundation. We've established a really good foundation because these farms take a long time. So in the time that we're kind of just farming trash characters to get a really good character and a really good ship, we're okay because our account is good. This is the core problem with like Galactic Legend rushes, is they don't account for having that good team. So from start to when you have your first Galactic Legend, you got no good teams. Your account sucks. You're not going to be winning as many Grand Arenas. Now, of course, you can beat trash players. You can beat trash players by slapping your dick against your phone, right? Trash players exist. Everyone will get a baseline 80% win rate in Grand Arena just by just by the nature of people sucking. Now, the new matchmaking system has kind of put a thorn in that because some players just have 7 million GP for some reason. Some players, you know what I mean? Some players don't play. Sometimes you forget to play, whatever. The point being is you kind of suck if you rush a Galactic Legend. And then after you rush the Galactic Legend, you still got to build the core 8 teams anyway. So then, you know, now you're slowly picking up. What we do is we establish a good foundation. We do not want a house of cards or a glass house or a pillar of sand. That's what I was trying to say. We don't want pillars of sand. We want to build on sturdy foundations so that our temple does not collapse. Farm your core 8. Don't be a bitch. All right. And then we have the Trash, and Trash is only there because I hate the Phoenix team. Thrawn is useful for his capital ship. We're going to want to pick up Trench just for his capital ship, and we should be good there. And then Mara Jade, Iden Versio, and Death Trooper. 2 good characters in Iden Versio and Mara Jade at low stars, low gear. Death Trooper kind of gets plugged into that Iden Versio team. So at this point, we have a Galactic Legend, a really good foundation, the best ship in the game, and some good flex teams to give us, you know, kind of a little additional stuff on top. We have one more slide for characters, which is going to be basically the next year of your life. And then we're going to get into fleets, and we're going to cover all of the other stuff. A water break. Maybe I need a water break. Maybe you need a water break. How am I doing? This is one take. We're 30 minutes into the video. I have covered everything that I wanted to talk about. I don't really, you know, I'm doing a good job. So subscribe. All right. Water break over. The last slide before we get into fleets and then cover some other stuff. Boom! It's a short slide because the next year of your life is literally just going to be getting JML. Why? Because we've done a couple of important things. We have covered all the bases. Like I said, don't use a pillar of sand. Don't throw stones in a glass house. Something about houses of cards and Kevin Spacey touching little boys. I don't know what I was trying to say earlier because I am pent up on a lot of caffeine. And I have no tolerance. But we have a fantastic, the best possible foundation in the game, the best possible character in the game, and the best possible ship in the game. We are living the best, not of both worlds, but of 3 worlds. The 3 things that matter in this game. I'm looking at myself again, not the camera. Or I'm looking at the camera now. We have the 3 best things in the game. A good foundation, the best character, the best ships. We are killing it. So what do we do next? We get another amazing character in Jedi Knight Luke. Wampa, who is fucking amazing in his own right with his Omicron. And the second best Galactic Legend with a couple of extra squads to boot. Now, this is basically 2.5 to 3 years of your life. Your wife left you, your kids are moving out and going to college, you're broke, you're living on the street, but you completed the ultimate free-to-play farming guide. It took you 2.5, 3 years, probably a lot less if you spent money. Money, 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 money. But you've basically maximized your chances for winning. At this point, you're a lot better player than you used to be, right? At the beginning, you were getting hard carried by the fact that you had the best farming guide, the best characters, your opponents couldn't match up. You were doggy doo-dooing people. This is the point where I am right now. Like I said, I've done a lot of great stuff. I've done a couple of bad things. I cut out the bad things, gave you only the great stuff so you don't make any mistakes. I literally watch every single Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video every single night. I literally sit in my bed and I search Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and I watch everything. I have all of the information. I have a problem. I obsess about things. I pick something and I obsess about it. It's unhealthy. Some people have called it. Well, I'm not going to say what some people have called it because they can go suck it. I'm a little obsessive. I have just bestowed upon you basically 4 years of information in 34 minutes. Now let's talk about ships. What is our first fleet? You might ask, APGAINS, what's our first fleet? Scroll down a little bit, get APGAINS merch. All right, the first fleet is going to be a Home 1 fleet. This is our first fleet right here. The Houndstooth is our tank. The 3 Geos are super easy to get, and very importantly, they're not, going to be used much, but they are dark side ships, which is very important. Anakin and Ahsoka, who are going to be amazing. Boba Fett, who is also a dark side ship, and also a bounty hunter, which is going to be important later. Oh my god, that's something that'll help us a little bit later. All right, and then TIE Fighter. Now you'll notice here that we have a capital ship, 2 really good Galactic Republic ships, also something we'll need a little bit later, and 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we actually have 6 dark side ships. Whatever, 6 dark side ships. These ships are going to help us unlock the Zeta event, which is going to be awesome, awesome, awesome. I think we need 5 5-star dark side ships to get the Zeta event, and we want to do that as fast as humanly possible. And then I have Hyperdrive. If you do buy the Hyperdrive bundle, basically the only thing you want to change about the farming guide is you want to farm Xanadu and IG-2000 super fast, along with Boba Fett and the Houndstooth, so you can get the MILF, the Millennium Falcon, as fast as possible. And then that will be freaking awesome, because the Home One and the MILF are like the greatest thing ever. Now, if that sounds too good to be true, it's because, well, MILFs, traps, we talked about syphilis earlier. Got to make good decisions in life. I have 3 kids. I abandoned them. I left their mother. Their mother's 45. I haven't made good decisions in life. You probably won't either. But the world can suck it, because we have a good Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes account. Oh, is my mic on? Oh, thank God. I had a little bit of a heart attack there. And then God mode. Please farm the Negotiator with your guild event tokens. Get Plo Koon's reinforcement. And 5, so we have a good Galactic Republic fleet, we have a good Home One fleet, and we have a good Dark Side fleet. Oh yeah. Fleet page 2. We have girth, length, and only girls will talk to you, and chote. All right, so girth is just going to be, after we've used all our get to get a 7-star Negotiator, we are going to start farming up our Malevolence. We're going to get the last 2 Separatist ships. They're going to go with our Shmianoceans. I'm 5 million GP. My Geonosians are still Gear 7, and this fleet works just fine. You don't need to relic them. And then, oh my god, we've been passively farming the First Order for like 3 years at this point. We finally have a finalizer fleet that's pretty good. At this point, maybe you relic Kylo Ren unmasked, just so you have some damage on this team. You might be saying, the A-Wing? Oh my god, the A-Wing. The A-Wing is a stand-in for the TIE Echelon, because I have access to all the game assets. But... oh, God, I forgot what I was going to say. I meant to leak some Capital Games information earlier. I completely forgot about that. Oh, well, we'll do that later. The A-Wing is a stand-in for the Echelon. I couldn't find the asset for the Echelon because it wasn't in my files. So I just used an A-Wing because I thought it was funny. And then the only girl who talks to you is the BLT Sandwich. Kind of didn't have a category to put her in. I don't know why it's a her now. Whatever. The BLT Sandwich is a girl now. She replaces the Houndstooth in your Galactic Republic team, because we're going to be farming the Chode, which is the Executor. We talked about that a little bit. Those are the other 2 ships that are required for the Executor. The Executor is God tier. So we have girth, length, Chode, and the only girl who talks to you. So those are basically all of the characters, all of the fleets that you're going to need for the first 3 years of the game. Obviously, there's going to be some other characters that weren't in here that you'll just get randomly, and you'll do other stuff. The great thing about this game is, after a couple months of playing, you kind of watch enough YouTube videos that you kind of know how to play, and then this is kind of just like a reference you look at, and you kind of make your own way. That's what's fun about this game, is if you wanted to be as sweaty as humanly possible and win as many Grand Arenas as possible, you would follow this free-to-play farming guide to the letter, because it's perfect. But you guys aren't going to do that. You guys are going to have fun, and I think that's what's great about this game. You guys can go do whatever you want in any order you want and have fun. Oh my god, I can't even imagine that came out of my mouth. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and fun in the same YouTube video. Never thought that would happen. Like I promised, gear. Let's talk about the core 8. Let's say you're a million GP. A million GP, you should have 1, 2, or 3 relics. Ideally, Darth Vader, CLS, and then maybe like Bosk, or something like that, or Jedi Knight Anakin, or if you have a Revan at that point, because you went Revans before you went Padme, or whatever. Like I said earlier, you guys will do this at your own pace, because you guys are free, independent creatures who do as you please and suck on whatever that you put in your mouth, right? Let's just talk about the top 5 Zetas. All right, top 5 Zetas. Obviously Darth Vader. CLS is definitely number 2. Jedi Knight Anakin, Darth Revan, Jedi Knight Revan. Those are the best, and the Bosk's in there. Chewbacca's a great relic. So is Han Solo. So is Yoda. So is Jolie Bindo. So is Bastila Fallen. So is Mallet. Like, it's hard for me to talk about this, because literally everything is good. everything that I've talked about is good. So let's say you're a million GP. You should probably have 2 relics, Darth Vader, CLS. The CLS team should probably be gear 8 across the board. I would say gear 8 across the board for teams you use on offense is a good baseline at a million GP with probably 1 relic for each of the 3 offensive teams. Darth Vader, CLS boss. You get to 2 million GP, you should probably have gear 10 across the board on all of your offensive teams. You get to 2 million, or I said 2 million. You get to 3 million, you should probably have at least 2 relics on all of your offensive teams. Now, some teams might have more. You might have a relic CLS, a relic Han Solo, a relic Chewbacca. That's 3 relic characters on a team. That's fine. It's fine. If you use it on offense, it's fine. You might have 1. You might only have a relic Darth Vader and a gear 8 Palpatine and a gear 12 Mart. You know what I mean? You're going to do your thing. But you should at least have 2, on average, relics per team. 4 million GP. You should have 4 relics per offensive team that you're using, and you should have some stalwart defensive teams that have at least 2 to 3 relics on them. You get to 5 million GP, you better have like 70 relics. You better be absolutely those relics. Oh god, the caffeine is starting to fade. I'm gonna be honest. The caffeine it's not hitting like it used to. Probably because it's out. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. I think that's it. I think we did the ultimate free-to-play farming guide in under 45 minutes in one take, which means you promised earlier, we did the pinky promise with the little heart at the end, that you would subscribe. 60% of you aren't subscribed. 6% of people make it to 8 minutes in an APGAINS videos. I'm going to say, just preemptively, I'm going to guess 1% of you guys watched it to the end. Let me know. 1% gang. 1%. Say, I am the 1% in the comment section. I'll see it. I'll laugh. I'll smile. I might reply. I don't know. I might be doing something else. Who knows? Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I love you. If you enjoyed this video, you can, of course, support it by joining the Patreon. The link is in the description. You can join the $5 Army. We have the PP podcast, our Patreon exclusive podcast. Once a week, we have a Discord call live on stream with all the Patreon members. If you want to talk to stream, you want to talk to me, you want to have a good time, you can do that. Of course, we have a members-only section on the Discord where you can talk to me literally any hour of the day. You can also, message me on Patreon any other day. Yeah. I hope you guys have a great day. As always, I love you. And I'll see you later. And God, please say I pressed record.